It is Wednesday morning, time for the Ask the Doc segment for our good friends from All Creatures Veterinary Center located on Lyons, and also it's the same set of awesome people who help run the Canyon Country Veterinary Clinic on Soledad Canyon Road. With me today, this morning, is Dr. Maryweahther. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, this is kind of exciting for you to be here because you just started about a month ago, and they said, go be on the radio, yay! But you actually work with exotic pets, a variety of pets. So exotics meaning, let's talk about what that means actually. We say exotic pets.
So not wild animals. So I don't do the zoo, for example, but small mammals, so guinea pigs, other rodents, rabbits, ferrets, and then of course birds and reptiles.
And ferrets have become kind of popular in with certain people because they really are kind of like little house pets. They can be easily trained, so that's good to know. Actually, I know some people who have had a ferret before.
Yeah, they're adorable. A lot of fun.
Adorable, and that's good to know because a lot of people don't necessarily know or realize that those pets, especially turtles and reptiles, they get sick too, and sometimes it's tough to tell. Like with our dogs and cats, we can tell when they're not acting right, especially when we brought them up since they were puppies or kittens. You could tell when they're just not being themselves. What is it that, like, let's say if I have an iguana, for example, is there a way to tell when they're not feeling well, or are there signs that iguana owners can look for example?
So, kind of the interesting thing, every species kind of has their own tells, if you will. With reptiles in particular, we usually look for things like anorexia, which would be not eating, is probably the most common emergency I see with reptiles. But sometimes just a change in color or change in activity.
That's fast. Now we're on the opposite end because we've been talking about snake bites for the past several weeks because it is snake bite season, and we stressed enough, by the way, that to get your pet vaccinated. It's not a prevention for snake bites if your pet is bitten, but it buys
you some time.
But let's talk about snakes and pet owners who have snakes and like proper care and feeding. So there are different types of snakes that people have, anything from pythons to the smaller like garden snake varieties. Now, is there I think at your not Canyon Country office, your Newhall office, don't you have a snake, or I've seen different reptiles in your little...
We have two small iguanas, and we have a chameleon.
Okay, that's it. That's why.
That's our reptile.
I've never seen the chameleon.
That'd be Marin. He lives in the treatment room.
Okay, I see. Well, I was saying I didn't see him because maybe he's blending in really nicely. He's chameleonizing like a cat or something. But let's talk about the proper care and maintenance of one of the smaller pets of people, like a snake. Is it good just to kind of keep them in an area that they can kind of be by themselves, correct? So like maybe like an aquarium or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely would not recommend people having the snakes loose in their homes.
Right. It's not like they can be box trained or anything like that.
No, and they don't go on walks very well either. Usually what I recommend for people who are thinking about getting an exotic pet is really do your research first, especially as far as the husbandry needs. And so that's going to be the care and feeding and housing, because it can often be a lot more complicated than you might think going in, and then people kind of get this glazed over look, as I rattle off 5 billion different things that they need to change in their aquarium.
And that's the same thing like with rabbits and things like that too, the special care for them, although they can kind of be let out. But is it true like rabbits like to gnaw on things, correct?
Oh yeah, and they do a really good job.
And so if you're going to let them kind of roam free in certain environments, they should have something that they can, are they trainable to where they can only gnaw on something, or are they just going to find?
They're pretty trainable. I almost think it's more like you train the people to know kind of, you have to bunny-proof your home, basically, if you're going to have it out. And I usually just say, don't have it out unsupervised.
Oh, okay.
So you don't
want
that's usually the best bet.
You don't want to try and have a guard rabbit because they're not going to do a very good job.
They're not very
good. What do they usually gnaw on? What are things that what would rabbit owners need to consider if they're going to let their animals loose?
So basically almost anything that's within their reach, which they're pretty good jumpers, so it might be a little bit more than you would think. Carpet. My biggest concern is usually cords or plants.
Wow.
A lot of household plants they're either not healthy or they can be toxic, and so that's one of the big issues we can run into.
Now here's I want to find out if we're breaking the truth here on this. Rabbits and carrots. Do they really like carrots, and should they eat them?
Well, I really like pizza. But so the main issue with rabbits is and it sounds weird, their guts, their stomach, and their small intestines and large intestines are kind of more like a horse than they are like you or me. And so they need lots of fiber, and they don't do simple sugars very well.
Okay.
And so fruits, kind of a bad idea, and carrots have a lot of simple sugars in them. So a little bit of carrot's okay, but it is not definitely, you don't want to be like Bugs Bunny and constantly munching on it.
Right, and carrots also do not have that much fiber either, as far as I know.
Not really. They have a lot of good like vitamin A type precursors, but the simple sugars can really mess them up.
And so what would be recommended then? Just, lettuce?
Yeah, so what we recommend is, especially for our like kind of healthy adult bunnies, Timothy hay is kind of our old standby.
That's like at a feed store or something like that, where you can get that, or where can you get that?
Well, you can get it at Petco now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it used to be. I'm sure you had to go a lot farther, put more effort into finding it. We don't do alfalfa hay with our rabbits, but Timothy hay is kind of the basis for their diet, and then some pellets are okay. And then, like salad. There's a lot of good salad stuff that they can eat.
Well, that's fascinating to know. And when we talk about also rodents and things like that too, so as a mouse, hamster, especially the little kids who want to make sure that a little hamster is okay, they can just bring them in, call you, set a time, and they can have them check it out. And it's also just like any other pet that you're going to get. It's always good to bring them in first, no matter where you get them from, to have a checkup. Correct?
Yeah, we call them wellness appointments, and especially in our exotic creatures that hide a lot of their early symptoms. It's a good idea to get that wellness checkup, especially like the new pet exam, because we can prevent a lot of issues by fixing, anything that might need changing in the cage or the aquarium early.
Now, is it a tiny stethoscope you use for a hamster, or how does that work?
I use my regular stethoscope.
And I've been taking the temperatures, probably a whole other thing we don't have time to get into. Dr. Maryweahther, indeed, like it is with any animal. Dr. Maryweahther from Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital, located on Soledad Canyon Road, and All Creatures Veterinary Center, which is a 24/7 operation, by the way, located on Lyons Avenue in the Victorian buildings between Newhall Avenue and Main Street in Old Town Newhall. Yep. It's a great time. Thank you so much for coming out. We hope you come back, because I love talking about different animals. This is terrific.